All right, gonna be working on the intake and replacing the injectors. Thought I was gonna be able to just swap this out, but I think I do have to separate everything. All right, got the right side off. Probably best to take the 2 bolts for the fuel rail off first, then pop out the injectors. 1 bolt for a fuel line bracket over here. All right, trying to clean up the fuel rails for the injectors. Got some Scotch-Brite pads. The Scotch-Brite pad by itself, probably a little too abrasive. You can see some scoring in there, kind of taking off the varnish or finish or whatever. Wrapped it in a paper towel. I think that's gonna clean it up a lot better. Gonna turn this back upside down so no crumbs or anything get back in the fuel rail, and we'll do the other side on the TVGs as well. All right, got everything cleaned up best I can. All the spots for the injectors, mounting surfaces on the tumbler guide valves, and the intake mating surfaces. Got the ID1050s and a little bit of oil for the O-rings. We'll try and get all these installed.
There we go. Nope, missed. There we go. So I'm trying to be real gentle and see if we can get these lined up as best we can. Hitting on the bracket for the fuel rail down here. There it is. Okay, so now, feel more confident in it.
There we go. Got 1 good pop from that one. Good pop from that one. So probably going to be easier to install the injectors into the TGVs first and then pop the fuel rail on.
There we go. We got it perfect. Now I'm going to put these guys in 12 millimeters.
As I'm just finally tightening them down little by little, I can see the springs compressing on the top of the injector, so I think we're good. Did hear 1 good solid pop on each injector, and they both still move freely, so I don't think we pinched any O-rings or anything.
So we got the fuel rail loosely mounted to the TGV. Now let's see if we can get this gasket back in and mount this. Tab goes facing outside. Slide it in here. Actually, it might be easier like this to do it upside down. We can stick a screw in here, stick a bolt in here, and you know, it's in through the, and now it's in through the gasket. Let's see if we can do this. There we go. All right. Yeah. Let's flip it over. We just have this one last bolt for the fuel rail bracket right here. Gonna go ahead and see if we can get this in. Gonna leave this one a little loose because I like to torque down the fuel rail to the TGV first. Then we'll tighten that one up. Don't want anything goofy going on. Let's just loosely put in these last bolts. All right, everything's hand tight on this side. Injectors in. Let's swap over to the driver's side.
All right, so I think it is going to be easier. Put the injectors in TGV first, then pop the fuel rail on top. Just try and get a nice pressure. It pops right in. Second injector, light oil coating on there. Pops right in.
You need to remove the screw right here that holds the fuel lines together, so get a little more articulation. And pop this one out too. There we go, everything's clean. Here we go, now if we do this.
All right, we're just able to remove 1 clamp to get this fuel rail off. Maybe it's going to be easier now. Yeah, there we go. Right there. Can we see what's going on? Right here. There we go. Nice. Nice and smooth. Nice and smooth. Nice and smooth.
Alright, just hang tight. Let's see if we can sneak this back up in here. Yeah, that went on pretty easy. We gotta put the fuel line back on. This doesn't seem like it was that hard. There we go. So now, we're hitting on this little bracket right where it needs to be. There's another, fucking shit up over there. 1 more little screw that holds the fuel rails, that holds the fuel line onto the intake. I'll take that off so I have plenty of room. Gasket, tab facing outwards, ridges facing up. See if we can sneak it in right here. It's easier to go down this way. There we go. Alright. Intake to TGV. I'll flip it back around.
All right, I did get the bolt for the fuel line bracket over here. All right, intake bolts to TGVs were 8.25 Newton meters. We got it at 8.3. Didn't see any specific torque order for the bolts. I'm gonna see if I can start inside to outside. I did go hit them one more time. I did get a little bit more turn out of some of the inside ones that I started on first, but they are all torqued to 8.3 Newton meters.
One more time.
Tighten the bolt, switch, install the fuel injector pipe onto the intake manifold. Tightening torque, 19 Newton meters. All right, 19 Newton meters. And then also the bracket for the fuel line. All right, 19 Newton meters on these fuel rails. Be confident in these, and then the bracket. All right, we got the injectors in on the intake. So now I'm gonna put the spark plugs in so we can put the coils and wire harness on, then put the intake on the block. I got 8 spark plugs from Subaru dealership, NGK. I've heard there's been a lot of NGK fakes going around, even on like, especially Amazon, eBay. I've even heard some people say they got some fake ones from some parts stores like AutoZone or whatever. So got these directly from the dealer. I think they're all legit. NGK stamped on them, Japan stamped on them. All right, about page 27 of the ignition manual. Spark plug gap 0.7 to 0.8 millimeters. Tightening torque spark plug 21 Newton meters, and then the ignition coil 16 Newton meters. All right, spark plugs should come pre-gapped from the factory, but it's always a good idea just double check, make sure they're close. We were 0.7 to 0.8 millimeters. So we got millimeters on the right side over here. Not sure if you can see, but it looks like that is 0.69 millimeters. 0.7, so we're right in between 7 and 8, right about 7.75. So this one's good. You know, I double check it with another one just to make sure everything's accurate. Slide it down there on the thin end, over here, right close to 0.8.
Punch in there. Just starting on the left side head. These are silver too. Guess not. And that 0.74. I don't know like it's cross stitches or anything. This one's going in fine. All the way in. Oh god, that sounds killing me. Spark plugs torch. No way to mark them, so we're just leaving other side.
So we're good. I think I know what the real bad squeaking is. I believe these heads did have the pretty common spark plug crack at the spark plug threads inside the combustion chamber, and they did do something to fix that. So I'm sure whatever they did to heat this up or re-weld it or whatever they did to fix the cracks, they probably had to redo the threads. So the threads are probably brand new or just freshly cut. So I'm wondering if that's what the squeaking is. I'm still gonna go real easy because it does not feel good at all.
Right at the 0.74.
All right, playing with the GoPro on the mount on my head. Gonna see if we can get this wiring harness on. Did mark the coils. So 1 and 3 on this side, 2 and 4 on this side.
Let's go ahead and start with the coils, just so we get a baseline of where we need to go. Just going to put them loosely on like that. Lots of connectors here. Injectors broken. They can't be injected, these are injectors. TVG. We should be able to leave these going. Throttle body. You know, maybe the alternator plug comes from the harness on the, what's it called? Intake. So we got this little, I think there's an ILEP signal wire for the power steering, so when you start using power steering, it hours up the engine. This must go to throttle body, this must go to throttle body on the intake. We got all this loose over here, it should lay like that. TGV injector over there. This should just follow here like this. Got one knock sensor. I think we just put it in like that. I think this did clip in somewhere. I'm not sure where. We have grounds. TGV and injector, TGV and injector. Should be 2 and 4. Number 2. Number 4. How's this go? Is that? It's wrapped around like that. There we go. 2 and 4.
All right, 3 bolts on the fuel rails that I forgot is this one holding the fuel rail onto the bottom of the intake. Should be one right there, but not sure if you can see it's been broken off, so I'm not even gonna fool with that. And then these 2, one holding the 2 fuel rails together, and then one holding that bracket onto the intake. All those torqued to 5 Newton meters. All right, picking up where we left off, putting the harness on, I think that's the best bet. I took the camshaft position sensor connector out and just laid the harness back. Hopefully we won't have any issues with crumbs falling in the intake. And then the same thing over here, just kind of pulled the wiring harness towards the front. Hopefully give us plenty of room.
Just gonna put that on here for now. This is a crankcase breather for the 2.5. On the 2.5 heads, there's an additional port, same size as this, I think 3/4 or 5/8 or something, and it connects the valve covers to the crankcase in the middle, in the actual block. But the 2.0 heads don't have that, so we're gonna have to figure out what to do. I think some people plug it, some people route it to a catch can, some people drilled and tapped new holes in the valve covers, so we'll have to figure out what we want to plug. I believe this is a coolant temp sensor, a little 3-prong plug right there. Coolant temp or head temp or something that goes in this coolant water pipe. Just look, actually it might go, looks like the connector, the clip goes on the passenger side of the connector. Can anybody see that? And there we go, it's clipped in. I guess it just kind of folds up in there. And then one of these has to be the crank position. Hang on, I'm gonna take this hose off, because I think it's gonna be kind of difficult to wiggle it around in here.
All right, here's the 2 gasket options. It has a option for a 253 and then an option for a 205 and a 257. 253 was a single overhead cam. That 257 is the STI motor. Awesome. So those are the correct gaskets. All right, so we're back. Did confirm these are the correct gaskets, even though there's a little bit of a gap or difference in how it lines up. Flip this over and put the intake on. Without.
All right, nothing should be able to fall off. Everything's on. Not sure the best way to grab this, but I think we need to have that pipe, where this coolant pipe comes straight up through there. What are we hitting on? This little guy. So we'll do this. Bring this little guy around. Ooh, we have a little locating dowel right there. Set it on. So we're just gently set on here. That's going to be a bitch to get to. Intake is lowered on. I don't remember exactly which side these bolts came off of, but we're just going to hopefully get them in here. Yeah, I think we got it. Come on, 1 power. Let's just see if we get some of these ran down. Ran down. Ah! Yeah, this one. These 2 in the middle. Alright, let's get these torqued. T725. On the inside working out, starting on the passenger side. And then when it starts to snap a bolt now, it won't be too bad. 25. And they get off and on. Looks like that's the way it was to begin with. Oh shit. Come on, you piece of... Yeah. Alright. Now it's starting to look like a motor.
Try it. This gray connector is the crank sensor. This little guy right here. Let's go ahead and pop him on. Might have to figure out a better clamping situation for that, because that is definitely broken. So I gotta sneak this guy
down. Not a whole lot of room. There we go, when it goes like that. You just, I can't see anything. Yeah, right, this looks right. There we go. Nice. Okay. Crank sensor connected on the crank sprocket back there. Okay, do we have any other connectors in here? We got that little oil pressure switch connected. We got this little valve thing connected. We got the temp sensor on the water pipe connected. This was missing a bolt before. So if we can take this bolt off, maybe get enough wiggle room. There's no wiggle room. Fuck! Yes. Ow. Owie, owie. Okay, got that through there. Hurt my finger. See if we can just...
All right, the next step is installing the connectors onto the harness for the injectors. I wish I just got the connector adapters. I think it would have been a lot easier. Might have had a little bit extra wire in the harness in there, but I don't think it would have been a big deal. And if you ever go back to OEM, you just unplug it. But this is what we got. I did check each injector connector on the factory harness. The wire positions, locations don't matter. The polarity doesn't matter. I guess it's just electromagnet that opens the injector, but I am going to try and keep them all the same. So that it looks like the red is on the right when you're just looking at the injector like this. So I'm going to try and keep it the same way. If you look at the ID injector connector, it clips on like this with the clip on the right side. So we're just going to keep all the red wires on the clip side. All right, pulled the little harness cover back just a little bit. Here we go, clipping the wires. Ah, the red wire, the green wire. Stupid.
Little gasket goes on first. The pin goes like this. What I'm going to do is use the half moon at the top first, like that, to bend the two tabs inward towards the wires. Let's see if I can do this without messing it up. Like that.
So it kind of flattened it. Can we see that maybe? And then I'm going to flip it over and use the round side to crimp. And then looks like we got a decent crimp. Sometimes you can come back in here and squeeze them together just a little bit. No, not working out the way I want it to. Getting one more good crimp there. We should be fine like that. Give it just a little, there we go. And then one more. There we go, nice and snug. Now I was gonna try and do the same thing with the half moon on the top, but it looks like it's just barely too wide. It's just gonna grab it right here, put it in just a little bit. See if we can get it now. Yeah, there we go. All right, that should be good. Let's see if I can do this other side.
Don't forget, put the gasket on first. Just use kind of a twisting motion to get it up in there. The other reason I don't really like these is because these are two different gauge wires, and it's got the same pin and gasket for each one. Work. I mean, everybody uses these, right? So they should be fine. Does everybody use the adapters instead? Now this wire's just a little too long. Right there. The other thing that probably would have been helpful was to orient the pins the same way that they go into the connector, just so that you're not having to like put a lot of twisting motion on it. That probably would have been smart. So the same thing, we got the two tabs for the wire, two tabs for the gasket. I'm going to start with the half moon on the top for my little crimp tool here. You can see I kind of pushed them together, maybe, can you see that? No. And then just try and bop that down. Look like we got it pretty good. And just try and pinch it on itself. Get a little tug test. Looks pretty good. I'm going to get one more little squeeze like this, if I can. I can't. I don't want to mess it up too bad. Looks like I already kind of goofed it, but it looks good enough. Same thing, can't quite get these, so I'm just going to pinch them together and rotate. And I'm just squeezing it until they just barely touch. And there we go. I'm going to try and put the green one in because it's probably the correct gauge wire. Going like that, or do it going like this? Alright, got that one in. There we go. Nope, not quite. There we go. Alright, so I'm not sure if you can see, but we got both plugs flush with the connector. And then if you look in here, maybe, we can see that the pins are up flush with the top of the connector. And I think the final locking procedure is just press that red piece down, and now it's locked, ready to be installed. Let's see if I can plug this in. Plugged in. There we go.
Definitely would have preferred the adapters. All right, we got number 3 connector all put together. You can see our pins are flush with the connector on this side. Our little gasket is protruding just a little bit. I think it's just because this thicker gauge red wire doesn't fit in here very well. Another reason I just prefer the adapters. I did have to do a bunch of these connectors when I worked at Mercedes, or this style of like pin and gasket. It was obviously different connectors. And all I used were those little snap-on crimp tool pliers, and it worked fine. We had to do a bunch of recalls or campaigns on something, I forget what it was, but we had to redo a connector and redo, it was like a transmission connector or something, and had to repin it and everything and put a whole new connector on there. I guess it was leaking or something. So I feel fairly confident in the pins that I put in here, but like I said, I just prefer the adapters. You just plug it in and be done.
All right, this is number 4 injector connector. Red to the connector side like the other one. Both pins flush with the connector, red pin locked down. And connect. All right, same thing here on number 2 connector. The gasket on the red wire was just a little thick. Didn't quite go down there. Just had to push it down a little bit, help it down in there, but let's finagle this in there. And there we go, connected. All right, I think all we need to finish out the harness is this throttle body. I think there's a TPS throttle position sensor right here. And then we have an idle air control valve, I believe, without a clip. So we're just going to press that on there, and then whatever this is.
All right, we got 16 Newton meters on the coil packs.
A new gasket for the little valve cover breather. Stick that right there. 6.4 Newton meters on these. Got the left-hand side breather cover, new gasket. Got these torqued to 6.4 Newton meters. We got 19 Newton meters for the grounds on the top of the intake. 19 Newton meters on this one. Alright, I'm going to take the ground back off, connectors back off, so I can get this, what do I call this, protector cover for the injectors. We got one stiff vacuum breather hose right here, trying to get on. There we go. Now we can probably put some screws in. Holding the fuel pipe protector cover on are 19 Newton meters. It is missing a few locations. We got one right there, one from the back over here. And we'll do this one up top. Let's see if we can wrap the... Actually, I think the harness goes up over this. Pretty sure it does. Comes up here like that. There we go. This goes right there. Need to figure out how this... Down this way. Maybe back through this way. Down around here. Yeah, so as far as I can tell, the injector wire comes back through the cover and then connects underneath down here. Which is, I think we just need to angle the injector over a little bit. That way it'll fit. Now we can put the rest of this on. I guess all these come under here. Like this. We'll get this injector connector click. Good. Whatever TGV plug that is, and the camshaft sensor connected, so injector's connected, TGV, camshaft, TGV back here, coil still connected. Let's put this back in this little goofy thing, then we can retort this to 19 on the top. Alright, this is the way that it was when I took it off from the old motor. We got this breather hose coming up underneath the fuel pipe protector. The whole wire harness is behind the cover protector, and it comes up right here on top of the fuel pressure regulator. The only thing that goes over is the 2 coil plugs. And then it comes up through here, ground there, and we got these 2 wires. I use the O2 and some other Indian connector. It doesn't really look like this is the way it's supposed to be, but this is the way I took it off. So I'm going to torque down. I got one back here, one right here, another one back here, and then one up top. I'm going to torque those to 19.